Welcome back to Built to Ship, the podcast where we go behind the scenes with founders and product leaders shipping real AI products into the world. I'm your host, Tyler Postal from Voker, and today I'm excited to be joined by MaiLinh, co-founder of CareerGateway, an AI platform for onboarding and training that turns company knowledge into scalable learning. MaiLinh, it's great to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure I didn't capture everything about what Career Gateway does. Why don't we start a bit with your founding journey? What were you doing before Career Gateway? How'd you get the idea? And then we'll get into what does the product and business do?
Totally. So for myself, I was in product management before at the ad tech space. So nothing to do with what we do now, but through my previous work, I really fell in love with how do you build a product that people can use and be more productive. And we were actually developing and kind of like really taking the internal product that we were building, which is a learning platform for about 8,000 users globally. It was a global company, and taking it to the next level. So in that, I got really more interested in how do people share knowledge internally to then help them in their work, whether they're selling to their clients or helping them through changes at that time, the ad tech landscape. So with that experience, I just really love working with software developers and kind of translating what I'm hearing from users. So that was a really great experience. And then COVID hit, right? And I don't know what you were doing during COVID, but for myself, I was then really questioning what is it that I want to make an impact for the world. And at the time, I was back in my childhood home, with my mom, my dad, and actually my sister, who is now my co-founder, MaiLinh.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, and that was when we started to really ideate with each other. What is our personal mission, our purpose? How do we want to help people around us? And at that time, what we noticed is a lot of the students, like young adults that we knew, they were struggling to kind of step out of the remote online learning space that they were in. And they really wanted hands-on experience with companies through forms like internships. And those were really impactful to us. But at that time, companies were canceling internships because of the uncertainty of going remote. How do you do that, right? Onboarding and training someone who is just going to be there for a few weeks or a few months. So that was really the start. Was we started solving that particular problem to bridge the gap even more for students and for companies. And yeah, we started going to companies, asking them, hey, if we onboard them, train them, get them ready to add value from day one, would you take them? And a lot of them graciously said yes. So we started in the ed tech space and then grew into the more B2B side, working directly with companies to help them with their workforce, like full-time employees, contractors, and partners.
Amazing. I really want to dig into that point about early career and how do you break in, especially in COVID in a remote environment and now with AI. But I have to ask, I'm sure you get this question a lot, but what's it like co-founding a company with your sibling? Any pros, any cons? Don't worry, we won't tell her.
Do you have siblings yourself?
I do, yeah, I have a brother.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what you're probably thinking about, like how would I work with my brother?
Exactly.
Yeah, so fortunately, there are a lot of us in the sibling set. So there are 6 of us in total. So out of that, right, of course, no, they're all amazing. MaiLinh and I, at a younger age, even before we started our careers, we were always thinking kind of like entrepreneurially, and actually all of our siblings are in business or entrepreneurs themselves.
Oh, wow.
But MaiLinh and I, we got along really well, and we always wanted to do something together. We were pretty innovative and kind of always thinking about things differently. So when we started, it was a no-brainer. We're like, okay, this is what we were meant to do. Like, let's do it. But then actually we got to know each other's like different working styles pretty quickly. She is more of the visionary, which makes sense for her role as CEO. I'm more of the operational, like execution. So in the beginning, it was a little bit difficult to manage those conversations and really understand that, oh, this actually complements each other, right? We're talking about the same thing, but going at it from different angles. So I think a lot of it is also the same when you're working with others, but because we have that trust and that level of just really understanding each other from a personal perspective and going back to, hey, your intention is great here, right? Like, and never losing sight of that. So it took us a while to get to the place where we can work really well with each other. But honestly, I always say this to others, like, I wouldn't be able to do this with anyone else besides MaiLinh. So
well, that's a
it's
great,
honestly been great.
That's the exact thing you want to say, about your co-founder, because the co-founder relationship is so important for a startup. So yeah, thanks for sharing a bit about that. Why don't we get a little bit into, Career Gateway? You mentioned a bit about the product and who the types of customers are, but give us like a high level, like what's the main feature or the main thing that you see or you get out of using Career Gateway, so that we have a baseline before we jump into like the AI components and features.
Totally. So for us, of course, the learning landscape, as you probably know, is very competitive. There's a lot of players in their legacy and also newer solutions. And for us, the reason why we actually built Gateway as a product and a platform was from a lot of the manual work that we were doing. We were actually utilizing some of these other platforms to deliver, onboarding and training platforms, training, pathways. And what we found was, like, you have to put in a lot of manual hours and you have to put on your instructional designer hat, which, and that's why Gateway is built for the busy manager, is you don't have time. And that is not your area of expertise, right? Teaching someone to do something from their kind of level and where they're coming from. So because we were doing that for our clients, we put in, tens and hundreds of hours to create training that can be spectacular for the end user, and everyone can find value in it. It becomes scalable. So then, Gateway emerged as, the platform where we put all of our kind of best practices, and then, with building a multi-agent system on top of it, taking from industry best practices, but then from our experience working with clients, doing implementations. So the main user of when we work with companies are the busy managers who are running, let's say, their sales team, their customer success, even technical teams. So that's where we see the differentiator for us, is we're able to make information very accurate down to the level of their manuals and all of these pictures, technical drawings that they have, and translating it to a person who may not know anything, about that before.
Totally. Yeah, that sounds like a big task and a big challenge to, teach someone something new, especially if they're coming in with no, industry experience or something like that. Let's get into, you mentioned like the multi-agent system. Let's get into how AI plays a part in the product.
Yeah.
How do you think about it? Are there specific features within Gateway that, you can speak to, like, this is this AI feature, this is that one? Are there background workflows? Give us a really high level, summary of where AI plays a part in the platform.
Yeah. So we thought about designing our multi-agent system, which we call Genie. So Genie, we designed it in this perspective where, let's say, traditionally you have to hire a learning and development team, right, with instructional designer. So how can Genie be that go-to, L&D instructional design expert? So that is kind of like the mindset that we designed it in. And then of course, in an L&D team, you have someone who, let's say, will go and get all the data and download the tribal knowledge from your team, right? To then ingest it, create an outline to then align it back, and then create interactive multimedia content on top of it. So you have like different team members who can help each other out and play these different roles. So that's how we then design the sub agents who are specialists in content outline, and then one is using the different API calls that we have to generate, let's say, AI videos, avatars, even calling, let's say Nano Banana, right, to create like infographics and images. So all these different tools that we know the L&D team would need to use to then create content, that then gets divided among all of our sub-agents.
Awesome. So there's Genie as a whole is made up of multiple sub-agents who each have their own purpose, maybe their own tools. How many sub-agents in total do you have today?
Ooh. Yeah, I would say, so under the content creation side, that's about 5 sub-agents. And then for the learner side, so an employee going through, that's another sub-agent who would coach and guide them through.
Great. And the interface for these different agents, is someone chatting through with text? Are these agents just handling like a workflow, like that just gets kicked off automatically, programmatically through the product? What's the interaction style with these agents?
Yeah, so we accept inputs from pretty much all types of data. So that includes images, videos, like you can upload, let's say, a recording of how you had trained other people about, or meetings where you're transferring knowledge. So then we transcribe that in the background, and that's how our agents are able to process everything. And so with that, we built like a custom RAG pipeline to be able to ingest all of these text input. You can also talk to Genie. It would transcribe for you immediately to do like a brain dump of what you're thinking. And then, that then all gets processed in our platform. And for the end user, they can even, they can do the same thing, right? Let's say they are a salesperson getting ramped up. They now had maybe a couple of conversations with prospective clients. They can then use Genie as like a coach, right? Upload back their transcript based on the kind of companies and teams processes. What can they improve on? So it's all grounded in how that team operates. Does that
That's
help?
great. Yeah, definitely. No, I think that paints a great picture. There's a lot of different modalities that you support, which I do think is important, especially with the, learning and development, because there might be a diagram or a training video or something like that, or like you said, a recent sales call. And what are you seeing in terms of adoption? Like how much are people taking to Genie? Are they like, what's the kind of monthly conversation volume you're seeing with Genie across your users?
Yeah, because so our users and our customers are doing this for the first time. So that's who we target, are the ones that, have never, let's say, have never used a platform like a learning management system to create scalable training. They may have had Google Docs and SOPs. Maybe they have tried other platforms just to explore, but it feels intimidating. So we're built for those first-time managers who are trying to, make a more efficient way, right, to onboard and train. So the adoption for us is we always make sure that they are greeted with Genie. So it becomes like second nature of when you are trying to create like a learning path for onboarding or training or upskilling. Genie is talking you through it. So that's honestly, I've seen that to be really, really great, where users are like, oh, I didn't even think about those metrics before, or I actually have these other materials that I didn't even think about because Genie suggested for me to look for them. So it's a very step-by-step guidance through a chat format, And they're used to now ChatGPT, right? Perplexity, like everyone's using it now. So we help them to get started in that way. But we're still figuring it out in terms of how do you make it even less intimidating for people now that they're gonna, review the content that Genie had generated for the first time, and getting it to that kind of final step to assign it to people, get them to go through it. That is, it's an ongoing process, but we've seen busy managers being able to do it for the first time. And honestly, that just brings a lot of joy to me.
Yeah, that's great. I think, like you said, introducing early on in the user experience that, this agent is a core part of the product is a great way to get people used to, hey, I need to play around with this. I need to learn how I can use it. On that note, is there anything you've seen that surprised you about like what people have asked Genie for, asked Genie to do that you didn't expect that Genie could do, or that, they're asking for help with their math homework or something? Anything stand out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that we're really excited to help our managers and our admins do is, let's say when they are uploading a video or an image into Genie as a chat, right? Right now we're transcribing everything to text. But what I find myself doing a lot, especially when I'm creating these videos for the end user to receive, is I'm taking snippets of like screenshots, or let's say if they're walking through a software, like how do you use HubSpot, or whichever operational platform these companies use. We want to be able to grab those interfaces, right, and overlay kind of the avatar talking through it, make it more visually understandable for people to follow. So right now, like that, we're still figuring out how to do that really seamlessly. There are so many, video editing platforms now, but yeah, it's still like we're still trying to solve for making that process faster and easier for the manager. So we're excited to see how we can do that and expand the capability of Genie beyond just transcribing text as part of context. We do have multimedia elements within like the content that the end user would receive, but that translation process of grabbing the screenshots and showcasing it visually, I think is something we're excited about.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if that makes
so
sense, if you can visually see it.
No, it does. I think it's, again, a challenge of, how ambitious you guys are to be having all these different modalities across video or text or image. Like a lot of early AI systems are still just text-based, and even those are complicated, but to solve like video processing and then also video generation, there's a lot to be done there, and a lot of new models and new capabilities coming out all the time. So it's an exciting space. I know we're getting close to time, so before we wrap up and learn a little bit more about Gateway, the question we always like to ask guests, because we're an analytics platform for AI agents, is how do you keep track of how your agents are doing in production? A lot of people aren't as far along as you guys are, where they've actually got like everyone's built a prototype by now, but very few people are in production with users using their agents. And so they're all looking for tips on like, how do I make sure it's working? Like I tested 5 things locally and I did some vibe checks. But once it's in the hands of users, like what are your suggestions for how to keep track of the quality of your agent performance and also the behaviors that your users are, performing across, these multi-agent systems?
Yeah, and we would, of course, love to learn from you too, and how you guys are thinking about it. For us, because we use LangChain family as the agent building, orchestration, and everything, so we use Langsmith for observability. So that is like all the tracing, all the logging, and tracing it back to what users are asking. Langsmith, I think, does a great job in having those data at hand. And actually, we built a skill using Claude to run at the start of every day. to go through all of our platforms, including Langsmith, to flag, where users are getting frustrated, right, or
I
where
love that. Yeah.
GD may have hung, etc. But I would say it covers probably 90 or 80 to 90%, but there are still some gaps in between where I'm seeing that data can be surfaced easier and better. I think AI is getting better at understanding where users are frustrated or where they're very happy about. I think that's still an ongoing process. But I would like to be able to better understand from an AI perspective, right? Like, how are our users using our agents, and what are some opportunities for us to really solve for? But so far, Langsmith and having a custom Claude skill has been very helpful for us to surface those things live pretty much every day.
That's great. I love that tip. Sure, it'll be helpful for the audience. The idea of, a lot of people have put in place observability tools, but it takes a lot of time to dig through all those traces and figure out what's going wrong. And you're busy building products. So I like the idea of having a skill or some other automated process to keep track for you. Great. Well, this has been fascinating. And I appreciate you sharing, everything about your journey and learnings. I want to put your website up on the screen. It's CareerGateway.io. Tell the audience, how do they, who should, first of all, actually check out Career Gateway? Who's it for? And how should they get involved? What socials should they follow you on? Is there, a good way to get in contact?
Thank you, Tyler. So if you are looking to find better ways to upskill your people, whether that's your full employees or even your partners. A lot of our clients are expanding and growing their business through licensed partners or contractors and channel partners. How do you, help them learn about what you do so that they can do their job better and faster? So definitely check us out if you are in that space. In that role. And to get connected, you can, of course, go through and book a demo here, or feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Happy to dive into things further. But I know you can also book a strategy call. So that's a great way to kind of dig through. We take a consultative approach because, we started as consultants before working with companies. That's really important for us to ensure, we are the right product for you and the right solution.
Amazing. Well, that's careergateway.io for all those listening in. And again, thank you so much for coming onto the pod, for sharing your learnings and your founding story. I'm sure we'll keep in touch and have you on again in a future episode. And thank you to the audience for listening in. If you're building something, go ship it, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.